Hello class, this is a video tutorial on trigonometry part 6, and in this video we'll be looking at angles of any magnitude, and we're going to focus in on these equivalent ratios. By now you should already be familiar with the unit circle as well as the signs of the values of angles of any magnitude, as we've seen in the previous video. So in this video we'll be looking at the equivalent quadrant 1 triangle. Now we could just memorize these here in purple. That will tell us how to answer these questions. So I'll demonstrate that to you now using one set of examples. So sine of 150. Let's move these across so we can make some more space. Sine of 150 is in the second quadrant. Well, just following this, whatever angle that you've given, you take 180 and subtract that. So for example, in this case, it's going to be sine of 180 take away 150. That's just going to be sine of 30. That is the equivalent of sine of 150 in the first quadrant. And you could just do this you can check in the calculator. If you type in sine 150, sine of 150 and sine of 30, if we press both of them, we get the same value. And this is the same for each of the other ratios. So in this case, it'll be cos of 30 and tan of 30. However, we need to add a little bit more detail because of all stations to central, A, S, T, C. And I hope you remember why the ratios are what they are, whether they're positive or negative in each quadrant. Now take a look. Cos and tan in the second quadrant are negative. Well, we can add that to this detail, negative. And that's how we could answer this, but it doesn't fully explain as to why these are the answers that we have. So for my next example, I'll go into some more detail for this. So let's take a look at 210 degrees. Let's draw this. As we've seen in all the other videos, 210 for trigonometry, we always begin in the origin and make the initial angle, and we rotate along the unit circle until we get to the angle that we want. Let's say 210 is about here. Before we go on, that there is 210 degrees. But from here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dropping a perpendicular height and making a 90-degree triangle like so. And as you can see, the angle that we're more concerned about is this angle here. We need to figure out what the value of that angle is. Well, if this angle is 210, but this angle, stopping just here, is 180, this angle must be the angle that we have minus 180. So in this case, it's going to be 210 minus 180. So this is going to be 210 minus 180, which is, once again, sine of 30, cosine of 30, and tan of 30. Using, once again, these, using the signs, in this third quadrant, sine and cos are negative, so we need to add this detail to the answer. Sine and cos are negative when they are 210. Now for even more detail, so we figured out that this is 30 degrees. But if we apply some geometry, if we make this side be, if we extend it to here, and we drop a perpendicular height here, and make the 90-degree angle like so, this angle is vertically opposite from this angle. Hence why it is the equivalent quadrant 1 triangle. And once again, you can check this using a calculator. Whoops. So sine of 210 should give the exact same answer if we do negative sine of 30. Look at that. Same thing if we do cosine of 210, it should be the exact same as negative of cosine 210. Whoops, no, not minus. Negative cosine 30. Please don't subtract. There we go. Get rid of that negative. There we go. And once again, if we do tan of 210, I'll just erase these actually. It's the same as tan of 30. There we have it. We have the same answers. And this logic still applies if we move into the fourth quadrant. So sine of 315. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's erase all of this. There we go. Let's do 315 degrees. Starting from the initial, we're going to rotate until we get to 315 degrees, which is about, let's estimate it to be about there. So this angle is 315 degrees. From here, we're going to drop a perpendicular height to the x-axis and draw a 90-degree triangle. And then from here, the angle that we're more concerned about is this angle here in between. What angle is it? Well, if the full revolution is 360, if we subtract the angle that we've been given, we can figure out what that remaining angle is. Hence why we have 360 take away the angle that we have. Well, for this, we have 360 take away 315, in which case that would be 45. Yes, that's right. So the equivalent of sine 315 is sine 45. But once again, going back to our signs, whether it's positive or negative, sine in the fourth quadrant is negative, so hence negative sine 45. Cosine of 315 is the same as cosine of 45. And because it's in the fourth quadrant, cosine is positive, so this is still positive. And lastly, tan of 315, well, that's the same as tan 45. Whoops. Where'd it go? Yep, tan of 45 degrees, and it's negative. So I hope that gave an insight into the equivalent triangles of any angle in the first quadrant. So I hope to see you in the next video. I'll be doing a few more examples. Hope to see you then. Best of luck.